Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Future Focus. My name is Justin Rupert. I'm the Learn It Coordinator for Goodwill Industries of Kansas. Today, we're going to talk about word processing in Google Docs. So if you're not familiar, or if you need to take a step back and learn how to create a Google account and access Google Drive, go ahead and hit that pause button right now, jump back to our Facebook page and look at old videos. We also have them on our YouTube channel as well. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'll be here whenever you need me, okay? But for those of you that are interested in Google Docs, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. As you can see, I'm logged into my Google account. You can tell right up here at the top. And I'm going to go to my Google Drive. And in my Google Drive, I have all my documents, all my content. You can see I've started to put some items in there. And this is where we can begin to create documents or spreadsheets or slides with that productivity software that's free, always up to date, accessible wherever you are, and synchronizes across devices. Did I mention it's free? That's what I'm about right now. So clicking on that new button, coming down to Google Docs, I can jump over here and I can create a blank document from scratch, or I can create from a template. So why would we use word processing? Well, for a lot of reasons, obviously. Resumes primarily, business letters, business plan. Maybe you need to create a flyer for an event where everybody's going to stand 6 feet apart and have a good old time. So there's a lot of reasons to use it, but if you're not super savvy with these programs, it may be easier to just create from a template. So one of the things you can do, click on that template option, and you'll see you have some categories here. Recently used, you have resumes. You can use letters to create professional business letters or informal letters. You can create a recipe. There's a lot of options. I mean, I don't have to explain all this to you, I'm sure. But again, if you're not that savvy with the tools in your toolbox here, we can click on resume template, and what we'll get is a pre-built resume where we can just plug in our information. We could plug in our name, give ourselves a little quip, plug in all your information, your experience, your skills, your education, your awards, your projects. Maybe not all of this is applicable to what you're wanting to do though. So say you don't have any awards, just cut that out. Just highlight it and delete it, and it's no longer applicable to your resume. Obviously, with a resume, you generally want to tailor it to what you're applying for. It's good to have a resume that you can send out to a number of different operations, but not all your experience is going to be applicable to every job you apply for. So you want to be a little strategic when it comes to that. So we've opened this template, and the first thing I generally do is go up here to the top where the file is named, and I'm going to rename it Demo Resume, and it's going to save in my drive. And you'll note that all the changes are saved in the drive. And now if I close this document, I can access it from whatever device I want to. So if I wanted to highlight this and do some formatting changes, like change the color or the font, that Comic Sans is a no-no. Let's use this lobster font and make it a little bit smaller. It's a little too small, isn't it? That's okay. We can always use the undo button to bring it back to where we were before. The undo button is your best friend. You don't have to start over. Just hit that undo button and take a step back. We can also change the color. Little things like this to format. You can figure this out. This is not super difficult stuff. But the thing about templates is sometimes you need to add a little bit of formatting change just to make it stand out a little bit. You don't want to go overboard, but at the same time, you don't want to just send in a template as is, because it makes it a little tough for it to stick out in the crowd. So all changes are saved in Drive. I'll come back to work on this later. Right now, I want to work on a little bit of a report that I've been putting together for Goodwill Industries of Kansas, helping to explain how we help people. We have a mission here that's to provide opportunities to people with disabilities or other barriers to employment, seeking independent and productive lives. So, every time you shop at a Goodwill or donate to a Goodwill, you're helping our mission, and we appreciate it a great deal. So I'm helping explain the mission a little bit when I go out on the road in the mobile lab. So I was working on this little document here, and we got a good start here, but I want to add a little more information, maybe some images to make it a little more robust. So what am I looking at here? Well, there's a little tool down here called Explore, and it functions essentially as a little Google search option. So if I click in here and search for Goodwill Industries of Kansas, it's going to pull up some web results. It will also show me any images that may be related to my search. And then if I have anything in my drive, any pictures that I may want to pull out, those are available there as well. That first result is our home page. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open it in a new tab, and we'll see what's going on. Oh, great, the stores are starting to reopen. That's good news. This document I'm working on, however, is about how we help. So I'm going to click on that, and I see this paragraph here that's just perfect. You know, this really explains what we do. And so I want to take that into my report. I'm going to use a quick shortcut to just Control-V, copy that information, and bring it into my document with Control-V. Maybe. There we go. And I'm going to close. I'm going to leave that open for just a second. So I've got this nice information about how we help people. But more than that, I think we can go one step further to cite this information and give it credibility. And as you can see the little quotation marks that pop up on that result I just clicked on, we can cite this in our document, again, to give it more credibility. You can see the little number 1 popped up there. And now if I scroll down at the bottom of the screen, I can see the source from that information. So that's a kind of a nice thing to make your document stand out a little bit more. But what I also need to do is bring in a little image that gives this document a little more dynamic look. So if I want to insert anything into my document, whether it's an image, a table, a drawing, a chart, special characters, equations, headers and footers, anything that you can think of that you need to bring into a document to make it more robust is probably under that Insert tab. I'm going to bring in an image, and of course I have a number of options. I can upload it straight from my computer or from my drive or from the web or from my camera or any number of options, but I have some images in my drive that I want to bring in, specifically this one. I've clicked on that image and it says one selected, and I can choose to insert that image. That's perfect. Came in looking great. I'm going to go ahead and close this panel over here just to get a little more hands-on with things. And when I click on the image, it puts some handles around that so I can resize it a little bit if I feel like it's a little too big or maybe it's a little too small. The thing that I would keep in mind when it comes to resizing images, I see folks do this all the time. Let's not grab it from the side or from the bottom, because it ultimately really distorts that image and doesn't represent it very well. So I'm just going to use my undo button, bring it back to where I wanted to before. And that looks pretty good. Got a nice looking little document. And if I wanted to take this and pepper the hallways and break rooms with explaining how we help to the people who already know, I could print this out as is by clicking on the print button up here if you have a printer attached. I could also download it as a Microsoft Word document, take it into Word and work on it there, or export it as a PDF. That's something you might want to do with your resume. In fact, that is what you should do. I said export, but download kind of go hand in hand in this situation. Another thing we want to look at is page setup. Your typical letter or PDF or a resume is going to be 8.5 by 11, but in other situations, this is where you would change to whatever you need. So that is a quick look at some of the things you can do in Google Docs. Of course, I didn't rename my document, but that's okay. It'll save it as untitled document. I'm going to call this GWK How We Help Demo, and it's going to be in my drive. I can close these tabs, hit the refresh on my drive, and open that document back up if I wanted to, and work with it. So I can see that my last edit was a minute ago. I can also share it real quick. If I want to share it and limit the privileges or rights that a person can have when working with this document, we have those restrictions there. Just type in an email address. Let's send it to myself and hit send, and it's on its way. And then I will be able to access that, or whoever I send it to would have access to that document to work on it, depending on what kind of privileges you gave them. So that is super just scratching the surface on Google Docs. There's so much more you can get into there, but it's a very user-friendly environment and something that I know you can jump in there and have success with. So feel free to send your comments, your questions, your thoughts about future episodes of Future Focus. And until next week, stay safe, and we'll see you in about a week.